you have discussed, and we might start, yeah? No?
No?
Okay, but well, some of the things you can do on spot, but you had quite a nice time for discussion. So we can start. Our first group is going to present the work activity and the homework. Okay, so what is the first team? Who is the first? Who is the first? What you are. Come up here. While you are coming up here, you are going to have this. You are going to assess the teachers and how they are going to present the material. You know that while the teacher is informing during the class, students always assess you, yeah? They assess the mood that you come in, the body language that you show them, and it's very, very vital that you come with a good mood, yeah, with the nice impressions, so they don't look at you like as a monster who came to say something. So while the first group is going to present the material, others are going to assess you by this, yeah? So they are going to assess your presentation by the self-confidence, how confident you feel while you are describing your stage, the mood, are you in a good or in a bad mood, what is the attitude towards the students, are instructions given, how well your instructions are given, how you explain what you did, because if the teacher feels difficulties in explaining something, the students will feel even more difficulties. Then the teacher's language, how simple, how clarified you are, how in an easy way you can say it, what you want to say. Do you use any terms, complicated, etc.? Okay. Then the logical order of the activities. So you prepared it by the PPP, presentation, practice, productions, how you follow it or not. Then the transitions between the activities. So is it logical how you go? Are you moving smoothly from one to another? The modes of work, what kind of work? Is it always frontal work or do you use pair, group, teamwork? The time limits that the group is going to present and the choice of extra material if you have it. Okay? So the first group, please come to the board. Who is going to tell? Okay, you can start if you want, then you can say. Okay, so listen carefully to the first part.
So we had two stages to talk about. The first stage is warm-up. Actually, we have two different things to provide for this stage. And these things, they depend on the strength of our team, or not team, our group. So if it is like very strong intermediate, we can say we want to provide some proverbs or provoking questions which can make them think. So example can name Tony. Tony?
For example, what you eat is what you are.
Yeah, or for example, you show some picture of food, for example, Chinese food, and they think of a recipe of this food, or how this food can be made, or from which products it is made, like this.
So sometimes thought-provoking.
Yes, thought-provoking questions, like this. And if our group is not strong enough, but still they are okay, they're intermediate, in our unit we have this food quiz. So it's rather interesting. So if we talk about proverbs and thought-provoking things, we work frontally, so frontal work. If we have food quiz, we want to have like competition between two groups or two teams, so we divide them. And we do it like we give them stickers, and they do this also, like they write it on a sticker within like 2-3 seconds, and they go to the blackboard and stick it. So it's like they are moving also. So moving and sitting like this, and then at the end of the competition they can win something, apple for example, or banana, yeah, or orange, like this. Then second stage, our stage is checking home task. As you said, it is first unit. We do not have anything to check, yeah, no home task. So we can, for example, we have actually 3 different things. We prepare 3 different things. We can show video which is connected to food. Yeah, it's like 30 seconds, maybe like 10 plus minus 10 seconds, and also provoke some discussion on this video. Then we can give some grammar or lexical tests for example, those who work with speak out books, so you know that in the very beginning of the book, like in the very beginning of level, they have this like lexical grammar tests, so we can check their grammar. It's also, I think it will be like frontal work, maybe in pairs. And the last thing, also is creative work, give pictures to teams of 3 teams and make them create a story. So also it's like motivating them to think and to talk. And if we talk about warm-up, it's like 3-4 minutes. If we talk checking homework, it's like 5-10 minutes. So 5-10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for this presentation. Good. Diana, you also said that many types of work is going to be open class work, so you can actually diversify them. If we talk about revision tests, you can give like the keys to the answers, and then they can
Self-control.
Yes, and do the self-control. So one team has the keys to the other team's worksheet, and they can exchange it. About the video discussion again, before like pre-watching activities, we give some follow-up questions which they need to discuss in pairs. But we're trying to avoid open class work.
Yeah. It's like it depends. I have, for example, a group with 2 people, so usually it's like open class. So yeah.
Okay, all of these ideas are quite nice. Do you girls like it?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we can continue now. The next group who's going to present our activity.
Together?
Yeah, together.
Take it out. Take it out. We're going to present lexical materials, and we will start with the presentation of it.
So, as you know, we usually use presentation matching. So we can divide all the group in pairs, and give them the list of words on separate cards and also different pictures. So they match pictures with words in pairs, and it can be very competitive because the pair who make it first, it will win.
Yeah.
So it will take 4 or 5 minutes. Well, next step is practice.
Practice.
Yes.
The first activity for practice is ball game. Teacher is throwing a ball and asking for one word to translate it. For example, one adjective or one noun thrown a ball to a student, and student has to answer it.
So you throw a ball, teacher throws a ball and says the word in Russian, and then the student throws back and says...
It can be vice versa, for example, Russian and then English. And time limits for this 6 minutes. The second activity for presentation is for practice. I'm sorry. Is stickers with the new vocabulary. We have stickers all around the room, and students have to move looking at the sticker, taking it, and trying to explain this word in English.
And the sticker will have what on it?
We'll have word.
Word in English,
New word in English.
Okay, so English word, and the person must give the definition.
Must give the definition.
To whom? To the whole open class?
To the class.
It's an open class word.
Yes. And it will take 7-8 minutes. Then the next activity for practice is categories. We have categories of food, for example, fresh, spicy, raw, in a table, for example. And students have to put all the food in this table.
So it's like colorful cards which they have to put in the columns, or what?
It's like a table given with categories, divided into the categories.
And there is a list of
and
words?
And a list of words which they have to put in this table.
What mode of work is it?
It can be group work.
Okay.
And 7 minutes for that. And
okay, the last stage is production. So production is something where we want to make them talk, speak, communicate with each other. So I think we think that the best way to do that is to divide them into groups consisting of 2-3 people and make them create dialects, for example, and give some situational up to life situations. For example, you're a wife and you're a husband and you're in a restaurant and you cannot agree on what to order. For example, you like that kind of food and you like that kind of food, and you quarrel with each other, you have to oppose each other. People like that.
Do they get this? Do they get this scenario?
The scenario, I will just explain the scenario to the whole class, and then they will have to show their imagination, creativity.
Ah, for adults it works really bad, you know, because when you tell them just imagine the situation and try to work it out, then a little bit bad.
But we
We'll move them.
also have this very interesting quiz and list of questions. So in pairs they also can ask and answer each other and also discuss.
So it's pair work, yeah?
Yes.
And how much time?
I think up to 10 minutes.
Well, you don't have more.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well done. Did you like the activities that you guys presented? Was the ball? When we throw a ball. Yeah, it's very nice and lots of activities are like moving activities.
Yeah,
right? So you
yeah.
include physical things.
Because
so
they're sleepy. Very often they're like after a day work, we're talking about evening lesson, they're like, nah.
yeah,
Well,
definitely.
like vegetable, so you have to make me.
Yeah, when you just when you base your lessons solely on the book, it makes them feel bored. So when you say, okay guys, close the books and let's do some active things, and then you take out the ball out of it. Okay, so it works good. As for the dialects, girls, I would like you to pay attention to this thing. As I told Diana, and one more time, just when you give some scenarios for the students to work them out, just give some basic information, or at least the words that they must use. For example, you say, okay, so there are pre-teach these words, well, but you had the pre-teaching on this stage, so yeah, so you can give them some useful phrases, you can give them the words to be used, and you can give different situations. Wife and a husband, two friends, two colleagues, etc. And I liked it a lot, like quarreling things, because what happens to students, they talk like robots, yeah, because they're thinking about the grammar, or the vocabulary that they need to say, and they say it all in a monotonous voice, yeah. So when you give them some situations where they have to raise intonation, lower intonation, it makes them, feel more of the language. Okay, and as for the dialects and the questions, so yeah, this is the production part where they actually have to use them. Okay, thank you very much. Now, grammar part.
Okay, as for the grammar part for this unit, we have present simple and present continuous. So, as presentation, we have to choose beforehand some dialect from the internet or from some other books where there are two times, these two times, present simple and present continuous, to give students these give-outs with these dialects, and then to divide the word into two parts, so divide into present simple and present continuous, then ask students one by one to come to the blackboard and write down these verbs from the dialogue, what verbs are present simple and what verbs are present continuous.
So they have to identify from the context.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the next
What kind of mode of work will it be?
I would say it would be teamwork if they do it one by one. Okay?
And how much time?
5 minutes. 5 minutes for dialogue, and so 3 minutes, I don't know, for this table. Okay, about 8 minutes. Okay, then ask students to write down the pattern of the, so how did they explain actually these two times, to write down the pattern of these two times on the blackboard. I think that one student will be chosen from the group.
So to write the pattern out of the dialects
Yes.
and the context.
So the next task is to stick different verbs on the board, just to run, to like, to divide, yes, to go, and then to ask students to come up and to write these verbs into these different times, into present simple and present continuous. So we are going to speak about action and non-action verbs.
Did you understand? I didn't
Girls.
So we
understand.
have action and non-action verbs,
Yes,
and
action
they
and
have to
non-action.
divide them.
Okay, do you have them on some printed calculator?
Yes, I think.
I think I have seen on the video we can use a drawn picture and to write down non-action verbs and like have some kind of explanation that we cannot use these verbs in continuous. And then the practice for this part of grammar will be the two columns, active and non-action, action and non-action verbs, and we put different verbs on near the table and they need to divide it.
So you provide them with the set of verbs,
Yeah.
and then they have to come up to the board and write down in two columns. Is it going to be like a teamwork, competition, or how it's going to be?
Teamwork.
Mm-hmm. So divide the verbs. Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So it would be also practice. So it was the presentation. Speaking about practice, we will play them snowball game using the vocabulary that was already mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and to ask them to speak about their favorite food. For example, I prefer. So I usually using these times. I usually cook, for example, for breakfast something. I like.
How do they know that what words they should use? You just tell them the instruction that use new words in your sentences.
Or use new vocabulary, yes, and try to use verbs in these two times.
Two tenses. So you tell to the students, so for example, I tell to Oksana, so Oksana, make me two sentences, present simple, present continuous,
Using present simple.
So-
present
and
continuous.
two sentences. So you make me up two sentences with new words.
Yes,
For example,
Use a new vocabulary.
Yes.
For example, we can say, I cook every day, and I'm cooking now. So the same situation, but in the present.
Where is the new vocabulary here?
For example, this simple sentence. So
What are other students doing in this situation? They are all sitting.
Actually, they are working in one by one.
So it's an open classwork. So if you have, for example, 6 students in the group, 5 are sitting, bored, resting and listening, while one person is thinking about 2 sentences who wants to make up.
So maybe
How much
they will 3 or 5 minutes. I don't know. Maybe it would be better. It would be better, of course, to make up a short dialects. Yes, in pairs, just the same task. Just to ask, what do you usually cook for breakfast? I usually have for breakfast. So that's one. And the second question is, what are you cooking now? I'm cooking. So the next task. Yes, we have the dialogue in the unit. We have the recording of it. So we will listen to the recording, and then the students' task will be to choose the variant and explain why do they actually choose this variant. So it will be about.
So they have to underline, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Underline the correct variant. Okay.
So 7 minutes. Then to explain. And about production, we are going to divide them. Yes, to divide them into 2 groups and to discuss healthy food against fast food. Okay. So just to make some conversation.
How is going to be, what mode of work will it be?
It will be debating, yes. There will be 2 teams, so maybe about 7 minutes. How much? We had.
You're almost running out of time. It's like deriving the pattern. Well, I guess it's like 3 minutes. Okay, so 11, 16, 23, 30. So you are running out of time.
Okay.
Do you have any other options?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Do you girls have any, hold on, just sit down, I would like to comment on this stuff. Do you have any comments on this, or do you agree with all the things that I mentioned here?
I would like to say that, for example, they didn't use this fill in the gaps, so it's like better to fill in the gaps firstly and then do some production, because without that some students they cannot understand. So yes, they need to train some phrases and then only sentences. So like I think it's a mistake.
So here, like you had the variant, like underline the correct phrase, like fill in the gaps, open in the brackets. It should be before this part, role playing and acting out different situations. You just missed a bit of two different stages. Practice is more about drilling things that are. We have some exercises in the book, like open the brackets, fill in the gaps, just to feel how it goes, how this tense is applied. And the role plays, making up sentences is already the next stage. And again, making up sentences is quite challenging for students, like creating things, creating dialogues, making up the sentences. It doesn't work really well. And if we talk about it like an open classwork, it's going to be very time consuming. And there is going to be no effect actually, because while 5 students are sitting, one is thinking about the sentences that he has to say. So either you put them in pairs and they make up the sentences, or it's better if you, for example, give them the task. So you have 2 sets of cards. In one set you have, well, let's say not even the card. You can make a ball. That's a funny ball. I just made it once, so you can try it again with the plastic plates. You know, this paper plates that you can use for the picnic. So I all glued them all together, so it was like a ball. And then I wrote like present simple minus, present simple plus, present simple questions, and then continuous, etc. So when I threw the ball to my students, they took it in somehow, and they played paper. Did you understand what I was saying? Yes. The paper plate that they faced, it included the tense that they had to use. And then in another set, they can take the word that they have to use. Or either you can simplify, have 2 sets, okay, present simple or present continuous, or drop a coin, okay. And then in the other case, you have the word that they have to use. So they have, I have the present simple, I have to use the word mussels. So I don't eat mussels every day. So just try to make it fun, in a funnier way. Or, well, board games also can be used, yeah, but again, it's the production part. On the practice part, you just, as Diana said, there was lack of activities. It's better to give and prepare more activities. You cannot use it during the lesson. If you see that your students are confident, they understand this grammar very well, okay, leave it. It's not a problem. But it will be a big problem if you don't prepare this extra material. And then when your students are lost, and you tell them now make up and role play the dialogue, it will be the waste of time. They will not do it because they will not understand how to do that. Okay, and again, try to avoid this open class work as much as possible, because especially intermediate level, the guys are good at English and they can do some tasks alone in pairs while you are like a monitor, come up, listen, make up write down the mistakes and then analyze in that. Don't have this all the time, this kind of work, open class work. Okay, thank you very much. And the last one.
Well, our part of the lesson is summing up, making conclusions, practicing vocabulary and grammar usage, and homework giving. Usually for summing up, the teacher is given about 10 minutes, and that is why we divided this part into 2 parts, vocabulary and grammar practice. Vocabulary will be practiced in the following way. We have 2 different activities. The first one is called a snake game or a chain game. As you used to practice with us at the beginning of this training, you asked everyone to remember information about the previous person, but in our case we have to use vocabulary. I ask, for example, the first student to name 3 of the words given for vocabulary during the lesson, any that he or she wants. And the following student has to add one of his or her own. The following student has to name all previously named and to add one more. This activity actually develops our attention and our listening skills and associative memory. And the one who mixed up the exact order of the words has to leave the game, or the one who didn't manage to remember something or to think up something also has to leave the game, and the one who managed to repeat all the words is the winner. This is one of the activity, and the second one given for vocabulary practice is called visual memory game. The teacher draws a table. The number of squares in this table depends on the level of students and on the amount of students present during the lesson. It may be up to 12. It is advisable not to use more of them because it will be very complicated to remember all the words. And the teacher writes certain words from the vocabulary, one in each square. It looks like a table, and one word in each square. Sorry. The teacher also puts numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and gives about 5 minutes for the students to memorize everything. They are not allowed to make notes. They have to put away their pens and writing notepads. And after that, the teacher erases the words and leaves only the numbers. This game may be played in 2 different ways. One is random interviewing. I ask one of the students whom I choose, and I tell the number, for example, 2, and the student has to name the exact word that was written here. The teacher has the same copy, for example, taking a photo of it or preparing it.
Take a photo.
Huh?
Students can also take a photo while you're not watching.
The teacher is not blind, so this will be noticeable, right? And the teacher checks if it is correct. The student has 1 point, and he writes, for example, Nastya got 2 points, 3 points, and so on. The second way and the one who got the bigger amount of points wins. The second way to play this game is to ask students to reproduce the same table on their separate sheets. Then the teacher gives the right variants to every student. They have to mix their results to exchange, and to check each other. They compare to the right variants, and then they hand it to the teacher, and the teacher sees the result and determines the winner.
Okay. As you can see, Elena has prepared a huge part. The first stage of our consolidation was vocabulary, so it was really huge. 3 activities we have. So for the grammar, I think would be enough best translation by interviewing randomly some students, yes, and maybe having learned some verbs, they can fill the gaps. For example, using past tense or present tense by using these verbs.
Fill in the gaps, yeah?
Yeah, fill in the gaps and best translation by interviewing.
The same sentences that were drilled during the unit, during the lesson, are asked from students to translate them from Russian into English. Teacher asks randomly.
And for homework given, it will be reading the topic, translating, and then next time to retell, to discuss in the whole class.
Yes, the students are supposed to represent the same information given in the text in their own words, but using obligatory vocabulary.
And discussion, of course, next time.
Of the text.
Yes.
So text and what else?
Read the text, translate, and then to
Reproduct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Very good. Do you have any comments on this part?
I think it will take a lot of time.
Yeah, I was also thinking about that. Don't you think that's going to be time consuming? Because, well, you gave options, right? So you said that it's one of the games, so something that can be played, well, you can see. But isn't it strange that you give vocabulary first and then grammar? Don't you want to combine it all together now in the consolidation?
Well, grammar sentences are supposed to include the vocabulary drilled. So it will be combined.
combined in this way. The sentences will be composed of the grammar, the current grammar and the current vocabulary.
Okay, just pay attention that your tasks don't duplicate and are not similar to the ones that you give on the grammar and vocabulary stage. So in the consolidation part, you need to actually have the feedback from your students if they understood the grammar correctly, and well, actually, is it okay now that what they have learned, what they have discovered, and this is the part of the lesson where you can feel are they lost or not. And when you say about the words, it's a nice activity when you tell them, okay, write down 3 words that were new for you and that you will definitely use in your life, for example. And then they continue doing that. So they understand that they're interested in learning exactly what they want. And as for the grammar, the translation part, we try to avoid using translations in our lessons. So it would be also nice if they could have some kind of a debate, or actually for the grammar, you can ask them to come up with the structure and the usage of the tenses. Again, so to feel if they understood the rules correctly. Again, just write in some words, or you can give them like mistakes correction. It works really well. With my students, it works really well. When you give them some mistakes and they have to cross out and give them out the red pens, and they have to cross out and identify what kind of mistake it is. Using present simple or present continuous. Again, I'm writing something like, I'm liking coffee, yeah, it is containing something, so we can see if they remember it verbal. Or you can ask a question, so what is non-action verb? Who can answer me that question? What is, not like, did you understand what non-action verb is? And everybody's like, but what exactly is that? When can we use it? Can you tell me what is a shrimp? So give me the definition. So you can give like a small quiz that would combine vocabulary and grammar together, and that will not take a lot of time. Because if the students have questions, you need to have some space left during the lesson to answer these questions. And if you have these loads of activities, the list, your students might not have an opportunity to ask actually what they didn't understand. So always try to have the room left for the question part for the students. Okay, and as for the homework, texts, for the intermediate level, it's okay to read them during the class. It's absolutely fine. And based on my experience, students don't read texts at home at all. Because when they see this one page of the text, and they come to the next lesson and say, Masha, I was so busy, I didn't have time. Or they read it like 5 minutes before the lesson, and like, oh, okay, I got the main point, let's discuss the main point, and that's it. So there are lots of techniques how you can give the reading during the lesson. There are pre-reading activities, while reading, post-reading activities. This is another topic for the training. But definitely it can be given during the lesson, and it won't take you more than 15 minutes if you give it correctly. But there should be, but if you give it at home, students should understand the direct task that they get it. So for example, when you tell them retell, give them the set of questions which they need to answer, like the text and 5 questions. Okay, so while we're discussing retelling next time, here are 5 questions, because I once noticed this problem of one of our teachers who asked the students to read the text. Next time they came, and she started asking the questions. And they were not prepared for these questions. They were prepared for retelling. And she wanted to limit the time and give them question answer. And they didn't know these questions. And that's why they started searching in the book for that. So in order not to waste time, give them the set of questions before. And say, okay, get ready for it. And here are 10 words which you must use while answering these questions. In such a way, they might be more encouraged with the task. Also, the homework should include some exercises that are connected to the topic that they learned. If they learned, for example, the vocabulary like shrimp, mussels, what was there? Also some interesting words. They are not included in the text. So how do they understand that they should learn these words? If you don't tell them to learn, they will not learn it. They will tell you, teacher, hey, you didn't tell me to learn it, so I did not. I read the text. That's the only thing that you asked me. So definitely ask them to learn the words. So you can tell them either be prepared for the dictation. It's the simplest way, yeah. You can give them some exercises. There are books like Vocabulary in Use. There are extra tasks that are given at the end of the book to do matching, to fill in the gaps in, etc. And the same is for grammar. So if you gave them during the lesson some material, ask them to revise it at home, because they will not do it. If you gave them present simple and present continuous, give them one exercise for it. Again, fill in the gaps, open the brackets, doesn't matter. Just something simple, but they will definitely have time for it. Because if you give them worksheets, 1, 2, 3, 4, they will not do it. But if you give them and tell, okay guys, this is one exercise, but you need to practice and consolidate what you have learned. It works well. So the texts are quite controversial things to give. Okay.
I'm sorry for interrupting. I have to go for the lesson.
Sure.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
It's okay. You can leave us. And
Can you save my...
as for the tasks, while you were presenting, you had this lesson plan assessment. So I would like you to look at it carefully again and try to assess each team. Okay? So you can divide these columns into 4.
Thank you.
So try to assess yourself and others.
Okay.